Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Redefining Resilience from the Core to the Edge with Veeam and Scale Computing. My name's Ali Presti. I'm the Alliance Marketing Manager here at Scale Computing, and we have a great lineup of speakers for you guys this morning. We have Matt McPhail, our Senior Technical Marketing Manager from Scale Computing, Brandon McCoy, Solutions Architect at Veeam, and Sarah Serwinski, Customer Experience Representative from Ingram Micro. I'll hand this over to Matt. Feel free to pop your questions in the chat and we will get to them as soon as the presentation's over.
Thank you so much, Ali. Actually, Brandon, did you want to start off
Yeah,
and through some of these slides, and then I can take over as soon as you're ready?
absolutely. Thanks, Matt. So, hello, everyone. Brandon McCoy, Solution Architect at Veeam. Let's just dive right in. One of the big concepts that we're talking about today is resiliency with your data. And so that brings us to the data dilemma. Most of us all know at this point that data is the lifeblood of every successful organization. So ensuring resiliency around that data is, of course, of the utmost importance. We have infrastructures and environments not only becoming more complex, we've got multiple applications running on multiple platform types, not to mention vendor lock-in and even vendor lock-out, as we'll discuss as we go through some of these slides. So you combine all of this with ransomware continuing to not only spread, but become more sophisticated. So companies need a data protection solution that can fit nicely into this landscape and evolve with them. Next slide. One of my favorite things about Veeam is the data portability and mobility. Veeam is, the #1 data protection company based on market share. We have a net promoter score of 3 times the industry average. And in the 8 years that I've been here, we have rapidly evolved to keep pace with the world of data. So we're way more than just a backup company. We're a data protection company with a focus on security, data mobility, and flexibility to take your data where you want. And now with Veeam Data Cloud, we are giving our customers and partners even more choice and protection. So Veeam supports multiple hypervisors, including Scale, of course. And not only that, but it allows you to migrate off of existing hypervisors and onto another. So if you were affected by, say, the Broadcom announcements, Veeam can be a big help. You can also go from on-prem into the cloud, cloud to on-prem, physical to virtual, and SaaS native. There's never any vendor lock-in. Of course, you can always take your data with you when you go, if you go, and whichever way you go with your data, Veeam can help you get there faster. Next slide. So in my segment of the business, I work primarily with service providers, and the Broadcom acquisition, I know it's affected quite a few, but for service providers especially, it's really left them scrambling. A large majority of them were told first that they couldn't purchase rental licensing directly anymore through the channel. They would instead need to go through some preferred partners. And if that wasn't bad enough, they were later told that they couldn't even sell customers the rental licenses unless they ran and moved all their infrastructure to a preferred provider. So not only were they looking at, what backup softwares to use, they didn't even know if they could support their customers' workloads in the first place. Luckily, they have alternatives with Veeam. And with features like instant recovery, they can migrate faster and keep critical applications running. They could be migrated up and running in minutes. Next slide. There's been a lot of excitement around Veeam and the Scale partnership. So using the Veeam Data Platform, which is our core offerings, partners and customers alike are finding easy ways to transition to Scale Hypercore while keeping their existing data intact. With backup and replication, we have a single interface for multiple workload types. And of course, they have a peace of mind knowing that they are protected with some of Veeam's core features like immutability, the zero trust architecture that we see in V13 with our Veeam software appliance. This is a Linux pre-hardened, pre-built, pre-configured. And of course, ransomware mitigation tool sets, which is really cool. Back a few versions ago, we were able to, of course, scan your backups for ransomware. But now in some of these newer versions, we can actually proactively scan your production data before you back it up to make sure that you don't get infected in the first place. So Really nice tool sets there. Next slide. So Veeam and Scale make it easier than ever to migrate seamlessly, keep all the high-level features and capabilities that they're used to. Like I mentioned, this partnership has been creating a lot of buzz, both internally as well as external, of course. So now I'd like to pass things over to my Scale counterpart, Matt, to tell you more about Scale. So Matt, take it away.
Thank you so much, Brandon. And specifically, what I want to do is I want to dovetail off of what Brandon talked about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about us, but I'm going to mostly talk about the Veeam relationship. I want to show how well Veeam works with us, and then also want to make sure that there are any questions answered as part of this. So again, just a reminder, drop questions in chat, and we'll get to them at the end. And then last but not least, Brandon is the expert when it comes to Veeam. So if I misstep and say anything odd about it, he's going to jump in and make sure that I'm talking truth through this entire thing. So I appreciate that, Brandon. So a little bit about Scale Computing for those of you that don't know. We are the #1 HCI solution out there when it comes to Edge. We actually just went through an acquisition that we took our Scale Computing name and brand, and we doubled it literally overnight. And so we're talking about customers across all major continents, in 30 plus countries. We've got well over 15,000 systems. Our big thing is when you got HCI, you want a high net promoter score, and our net promoter score is around 91, and we've got 24 plus patents. Headquarters in Austin. We've got our R&D actually fairly close to where I'm at in San Francisco, with a bunch of customers. So these slides are great. They build legitimacy, but really what matters is based upon what Brandon was talking about earlier. Like, you want to make sure there at the bottom, you're maximizing uptime. You want to make sure that you're improving efficiency for customers and yourself. And then also you want to make sure that overall costs are reduced. So with that, let's talk about some more of that technology. So specifically, what we're looking at is around the operational efficiency and around of the cost reduction. We are looking at specific challenges around limited resources. Every single one of the customers that we work with have limited resources, whether it's staff, time, budget. It is across the board. One of the customers we work with literally has 15,000 sites, and there are 0 IT people at any of those sites. They're just at a central NOC, which adds to complexity, right? When we've got 15,000 sites, you've got an extreme amount of infrastructure deployment. But the application management gets even worse, because for every single system that you have, you probably have anywhere between half a dozen and 2 dozen software pieces that need to be running directly on it. So we enable that, but yet don't take away from performance. The ability for you to get things done is based upon the hypervisor technology I'll show you a little bit about here in a bit, but it's meant to minimize any of these challenges and maximize the performances there through added flexibility as well. You can mix and match, you can choose. What's really cool is that with the Veeam technology, it makes the flexibility even more, because you can move between different sites or different hardware or different sizes of deployment, just leveraging the Veeam technology. It's awesome and agnostic, very, very easy to scale. And everything is designed for that data center and that edge deployment. So underneath our main core line, when we're talking about the SC platform, we've got SC Hypercore and we've got SC Fleet Manager. We've got also some other products such as network deployment and extended edge. But the main ones what we're talking about right now are these ones where you've got anything from an advanced UI to advanced storage to specifics around ML and AI ops to really key nodes lifecycle management, data protection, and deployment technologies. And this can be done at a single site, or this can be done across many sites, leveraging our fleet manager technology, where if you want to deploy something, you literally plug it in and there's zero touch associated with it. If you want to get to said deployment, you don't have to have a VPN. You can literally leverage our secure link technology to get to any specific VM anywhere in the world. And leveraging metrics and APIs goes back to that node lifecycle management that's so key. And what's different about it and what's amazing is that we do this in such a small form factor. Instead of needing, and if you feel free to go to the next slide, instead of needing a VSA or a virtual storage appliance or a full 3-2-1 lifecycle environment condensed down into a hyper-converged infrastructure, we actually leverage everything direct. A pure cluster across single nodes, across multiple different environments where the VM touches the software, touches the hardware, and then spreads across the network. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that on the next slide, because there's two key technologies that really help us out. One of which is the Autonomous Infrastructure Management Engine, or AIM, and the other is Scribe, which is our scale computing reliant independent block engine. So talk a little bit about AIM. For those of you that have heard and have a bingo card, here's the AI portion of the bingo card that you get to fill out, because every meeting these days has AI associated with it. This is the AI, though, that we have done for 10 plus years, where it is truly AI ops. And we actually take existing alerts, take those alerts, make sure that you as the admin get defined those alerts. And then based upon what the alert says, we look at it from a state environment. We see what that state is. If the state is in a positive state, we don't do anything. If the state is in a not positive state, then the engine itself goes through and does specific actions to ensure that that positive state is put back. So easy way of saying that is AIM fixes your environment for you. Now from Scribe is the way that we are able to do a very small deployment in a very, very low cost piece of hardware. Because as you can see here on the left-hand side, your VM sitting there, it does not realize what it's attached to. It just knows that it has storage. Well, that storage leverages a bit of code that we call libscribe that actually attaches to what's called a virtual scribe device, or a virtual storage device is another way to describe it. Now, this virtual storage device is great because if you've got one drive in your system, it leverages the VSD. If you've got 24 drives, it leverages one VSD. If you've got 100, it leverages that one VSD, because that engine actually wide stripes all of the data from that VM across the environment so that it is protected. You've always got at least 2 copies anywhere within that cluster. And why this is key is that we're able to do advanced clustering straight out of the box in order to maintain the resiliency, but do it at a very inexpensive way. We're talking about literally a quarter of a core of CPU and 4 gigs worth of RAM to be able to do it, because it is so lightweight, and because we are so committed to being able to do this for condensed edge deployments and data centers. So that VSD engine goes across that clustered network, attaches directly to any of the specific hardware that's associated in your environment, and you're protected because of this advanced technology and how everything is handled. And because we have those technologies, because we self-heal, because we span across multiple different small to large clustered environments, because we have Veeam to be able to allow us to deploy across multiple different environments, and because of the migration functionality, we can start off as little as a NUC. So we call it our HE100, but it literally is about the size of a small index paper. And it becomes a micro edge deployment. I've actually got, and you're going to see me use them. I've got two clusters over here just sitting on the side of my couch because they're so easy to deploy. And you can move from that micro edge where literally it's on my couch. It's that far onto the edge. And you're able to move from an edge environment all the way through to a data center and across to the cloud. And each of these can connect to each other, but each of these can be migrated to based upon the Veeam technology and based upon the fact that it is completely flexible within this deployment. And how that works, and how I'm going to show you here in just a little bit, is that the Veeam technology took some of our core features. We're talking about the ability to leverage our API, the ability to leverage Cloud Init, and it's scaled out even further than what we could scale out. So walking through this, specifically what we've got is we've got our cluster. And on the cluster is a set of VMs. Those VMs residing there are leveraging the Veeam technology through a worker VM. That worker VM is managed through the Veeam console, and the plugin that we have specific to that Veeam console, that worker VM invokes. You'll be able to leverage the API associated with it. It leverages Cloud Init, but then it also leverages some of our own internal mounting technology for the scribe storage. Because once it's then transported across, that data mover puts it into any Veeam repository that you wanted it to. So Brandon talked about it being anywhere, whether it's cloud or native or multi-hypervisor or still within the same metro environment. Doesn't matter. That data mover and the Veeam technology is key for all of this, because you're able to do direct disk, you're able to do change block tracking, you can have synthetics and fulls, and you can scale out your backup repository just like you can scale out your server technology here. And the key, like I said, it's the Veeam technology connected through our REST API, leveraging a worker VM that handles the management layer, and then the data moves across the network just as it would in any way. But with that, you get all of the same Veeam technologies. You get image level backups with full and CPT enabled incrementals, job sourcing. You get exclusions if you want. Full support for the different repository types. And again, everything that you would expect: swap files, notifications, compression, health checks, backups, full tape support, and then, of course, the ability to do Veeam zip. And with that, you've got the fact that you can actually migrate from other environments directly into us, just like you can migrate from us to other environments. If you see on the next slide, you can take each of the environments that you're currently using, vSphere, Hyper-V, all the way down, file, block, object, and cloud, and move it directly to us. But enough on slides. Let's actually see it. So I'm going to share my screen and walk through it with you. So you can see I got a couple clusters. I'll show you them in a little bit, but most importantly, I'm going to go into my Veeam sandbox. This Veeam sandbox here, I've got a number of different backup jobs. Backup job that I care about today is my Hyper-V backup. So this is just completed about 23 hours ago. Let's do a restore. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back into my home. And then I'm going to click on the restore. And I'm going to do a specific Scale Computing hypercore. I'm going to restore an entire machine. So just make this simple. Based upon the backup job that I've got, I'm going to do an entire Veeam restore. And I'm going to look through, I'm going to find that number 3 backup job. And Hyper-Veeam is the VM that I backed up. So I'm going to restore Hyper-Veeam. Click next. Going to go into my restore mode. going to restore to an entire new location because I'm moving from Hyper-V over into Scale Computing. And then I'm going to choose that Scale Computing cluster that I've already got logged. Let's see, it's right there. It's actually over here as well, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Click on that, click Next. You can see I can name it if I want to, but I'm not. I'm going to keep it on the same network, and this is going to be a migrate from Hyper. Summary, and we're off to the races. So specifically, it's going through the restore session, and it's going to prepare that worker VM. So let me jump into the environment. I'll show you a little bit about that. So I've got two clusters here. One cluster that has my Veeam environment. I got a Veeam sandbox. I've got a clean Veeam installation. I've actually got a couple of other nested hypervisors here. Hyper-V 22. This is actually Proxmox, and then a few other environments that I've used just for internal testing. But everything that I'm using from the Veeam console is directly from within this sandbox here. Now, the console is actually connected to this cluster, which is the local cluster, again, that I said is sitting right next to me on my couch. So you can see right here, the SE worker, which is, if you're at all a Veeam customer and you're familiar with what Nutanix has done or with what Proxmox has done, the SE worker is that extremely flexible and resilient worker VM that allows for direct connection for us, just like it would for any other typical environment for it. But you can see, again, our goal with making deployments at the edge easy comes full circle here, because if I wanted to, while this worker VM is going, I can actually go in and I can create new VMs with just one click. I can go in and I can see exactly what's happening within that worker VM just by going into the specific console. You can see this worker VM's working really hard when it comes to getting itself up and going. It's going through a number of different metrics that are occurring. Specifically there, you can see that the CPU and the network is working hard, because right now the worker VM has fully initialized and it's going through and it's started up that Hyper-V virtual machine specifically there. And then now that network is going through and it has actually mounted that Hyper-V disk, and it's copying all of that restore data from that backup job directly over. It still has its original boot environment from the worker VM, but this environment is now being fully copied over, and you can see that it's working hard based upon the amount of network traffic that's going in between. And specifically here, again, remember, it's using Cloud.init to go through and initialize that worker VM. But what it's also doing is that it's going through and it's leveraging our API in order to be able to see exactly and target exactly these specific backups and restore. And for those of you that are Scale customers or that are used to the user interface, it's great. But if you really want some good nerd knobs, the API allows you to do a ton of stuff. So the fact that Veeam was able to go in and build their entire system around our API just shows how powerful it is. So if you don't have any specifics or haven't taken a lot of time to leverage our API, please do. I actually work within a Tiger team that produces API calls, so that you actually can have specific API jobs, whether you use Windows for PowerShell or you use Python within Linux, is extremely powerful. And there's so much more that you can do within Scale that you're unable to do just from the interface. So you can see it here, but then going back, if I go back into my environment, you can see that it's still going through that specific copy. But what's neat about this is that based upon that API, Veeam was able to create an exact environment through Cloud.init for that Hyper-V restore that I did. So you can see that it's got the specific cores that it needs. It has the specific RAM. If you wanted to, you could actually set up replication from this environment for when it's done. And then you can see that it also goes through and sets up all of the specific worker needs. So specifically here, the worker VM goes through, and as it's finishing the task, the last thing that you're able to see is that this just powers on. So with that, I'm going to transfer it back over to the team. And please, again, if you have any questions, by all means, put them in the chat, and I would love to talk more about that. You can see it's actually just now completing that snap. It's completing the clone, going over to Hyper-Veeam, and now that worker is mounting that restore directly from the environment into Hyper-Veeam. It updates the virtual machine, it starts it, and your restore is complete. Took me about 5 minutes. So with that, Sarah, I believe the floor is yours.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to introduce myself really quick. My name is Trevor Nicholson. I am the development executive dedicated to Veeam here at Ingram Micro. So I cover both the traditional resale side and VCSP, but Sarah's going to tell you a little bit about our team and the different programs that you can leverage. But we'd love to have a conversation around your business and how we can leverage this great technology with both Scale and Veeam. So take it away, Sarah.
Thank you, Trevor, and thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Serwinski. I am the customer experience representative here at Ingram Micro, specifically dedicated to the Veeam team and VCSP. Alongside of Derry and Fenton, who will be helping me with the VCSP program. We both also have a focus on the SMB side for resale as well, but our email addresses are right there, so feel free to reach out if you have any questions. More specifically with the VCSP program, we just kind of want to go over what your options are when you choose to use the aggregator with Ingram Micro. So we do offer custom pricing plans, because we do realize that one size does not fit all. We want to be able to offer you a little bit of flexibility with what works best for you and for your end users. So let's have a conversation about, whether it's a different point plan or different pricing that we can work with you. We want to be able to grow with your business and make sure that we're providing the kind of pricing and plan that works best for you. Same thing along those same lines, adjust as you grow. So we have a really easy upgrade process. So let's say you guys are, currently using the VCSP program, and you find this new opportunity that's going to take you to, a couple tiers higher than what you're currently at. We can have that upgraded for you within 24 hours. We can backdate it so that you're not overpaying. We were really flexible to work with when it comes to really growing with your business and making sure that you are getting the price point that you need on your side and providing that data to your partners as well. We also offer compliance training. So exclusive to Ingram Micro, we offer a VMCE bootcamp, which is the Veeam Certified Engineer program. And what that is that is a $4,000 course that Ingram Micro will offer to you for free, so that you can have someone on your team that is really, really experienced in Veeam and can have those deep, intense conversations without having to utilize any, Veeam support or anything like that. We'll take care of that on our side. And then we are also a Veeam accredited service provider, so we can assist with any professional services. So if there's anything additional that you guys need from us here at Ingram Micro, feel free to reach out at any time, and we're happy to have a conversation. Let's send that back to the team.
All right, so Matt and Brandon, if you want to wrap this up, and then we'll get to our Q&A.
Absolutely. So really the big takeaway, and Brandon, I know you can double down on this too, but the relationship between Veeam and Scale is Scale focuses on simplicity, scalability, and resiliency, and it only becomes better based upon the excellent technology that Veeam has, and the ability to continue that message of scalability, resiliency, and simplicity.
Yeah, Matt, I agree with everything you said. I think from a Veeam perspective, like I was mentioning earlier, Veeam is all about choice, right? And having the mobility and portability to take your data wherever you want to go.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys. So while we get to Q&A, I'm going to leave this slide up here. We do have 2 QR codes that you can quickly scan with your phone. Encourage you to download the solution brief, or if you take a meeting with Scale Computing to talk about our Veeam integration, you will receive a $200 gift card. And you can also learn more by watching our demo, heading to veeam.com, and always reaching out to veeam@scalecomputing.com. So let's get to Q&A.
So I see the first one, and it looks like it is associated with a hypervisor-based deployment. So question is, how does this align with clients that are running 3-2-1 implementations that Dell put together? So great question. We actually take clients that are running 3-2-1 and migrate them using Veeam to us every single day. It works great, and we have actually built our technology around replacing 3-2-1. So we see it as a legacy bit of technology that Veeam actually allows you, if you're still running 3-2-1, to move into a more efficient based environment such as HCI. And then the follow-up is a more specific question. Does the hypervisor support iSCSI LUNs or even dated SANs? So all of our storage is internal based upon our scribe technology, but that doesn't mean that iSCSI can't be leveraged in guest or through other means. Next question, is there any plans to implement an MCP or an IDE like Cursor? That is a great question. I will have to get back with you on that. And then next question. So Veeam with SC does not support Cloud Connect repos to send backup data.
Yeah, Matt, I can grab that if you'd like. So that is true. Some of the newer hypervisors that we support do not integrate with a Cloud Connect repository for direct backups. But also, we also recommend the 3-2-1, right? So you should have a local backup, and then you can absolutely send your backup copy jobs of those to Cloud Connect. You could also use Veeam Data Cloud Vault as well. So those would be your options there.
Yep. And then the last question, I saw that hyperscaler appliances are not supported. Can you explain what hyperscaler appliance is? So specifically, that goes back to cloud and the fact that when you look at a hyperscaler, you're talking about the big 3, so AWS, Google, and Azure. And currently today, there's not a hyperscaler appliance that links directly to Scale Computing, but you can leverage Veeam for being an intermediary there.
All right, well, if there are no more questions, I think we can wrap this up. Everybody, please look out for the follow-up email, and thank you so much for joining, and thank you to our speakers.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.